Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and I'm trying to get this video to you guys earlier than I did on yesterday. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we are going to try and get it before midnight. And thank you to those of you who were up at midnight and checked on it, clicked on it and watched the video and gave me your feedback. We are covering the Diddy trial, and you guys know that Diddy is on trial, on federal trial on RICO. It's supposedly, an sex trafficking, but it's really the Mann Act. And I've explained to you guys numerous times what the Mann Act is, and I am going to explain it again because a lot of people, I realize, over on Twitter do not really get the concept of what the Mann Act is, and so they are thinking that Cassie, is testifying against Diddy, and that's going to be the main part of this video. Cassie Ventura is on the witness stand, and she's been on the witness stand for 2 days now. She came on yesterday. She was on all day today, and we suspect that she's going to be on all day tomorrow. The prosecution has finally rested and, well, not rested with the case, but they finished up with Cassie temporarily. Now the defense is going to question her, and then the prosecution will get an opportunity to come back and, ask her more questions based on information that she gives to the defense. So the part that I try to keep reiterating to people is that these charges that Sean Diddy Combs are up on is the Mann Act. And the Mann Act is, I believe some states have the Mann Act, but for the most part, the Mann Act is a federal law that basically states that it's against the law to travel across state lines for the purpose of having sex. It's a very basic law. It means that if you meet somebody online and you want to fly her out, or you want to fly to him, or him fly to you, and you guys engage, in that conjugal visit, okay, you're guilty of the Mann Act, or you could be charged with the Mann Act. It's that simple. And so while Cassie is receiving an outpouring of love and support on social media, as she's testifying, and people are talking about how strong she is and how brave she is, but what people don't understand is that with the Mann Act, the man and the woman, and it's not M-A-N Act, it's M-A-N-N, and it's named after the senator who wrote the bill to make this a law. But what it entails is that both parties can be charged with the Mann Act. So in this case with Sean Combs, he's charged with the Mann Act, and every woman and man that you see on that witness stand have also been threatened with being charged with the Mann Act. And what they do is they charge both parties, or they can charge both parties, but they usually tell the woman, hey, if you agree to testify in this trial, testify against this individual, regardless of how you feel about him, then we won't charge you. And so Cassie isn't up there because she wants to tell her story. She wants to stick it to Diddy, because she's already stuck it to Diddy at the tune of $20 million. And that's one of the things that came out in court today, was that her settlement was for $20 million. So he paid her $20 million when she came back and sued him about a year ago, a little over a year and a half ago, something like that. So that's what the settlement was. It came out. So she would have been happy to take her $20 million and ride off into the sunset. But the feds were like, oh no, you got to give us what we want, okay? And we want you to come and testify. And if Cassie said, no, I'm not testifying, then she would be sitting at a defendant's desk along with Diddy. So don't think that she's doing this great thing for women and for liberation and for women's rights and all this stuff, and to give a voice to the voiceless. Cassie is up there because Cassie doesn't want to go to jail, okay? She is giving her testimony in exchange for not being charged as part of this RICO that Diddy is under. And that's the same thing that happens in all of these RICO cases that have, like the R. Kelly case or any future cases. They threaten the women with prostitution and prosecution, okay, and in exchange for their testimony and for them, going against this individual who is on trial. And then I also, that had came out in the R. Kelly case, I believe it was Azriel Clary, who actually had spent 60 hours, 60 hours, being prepped by the prosecutors in that case for her testimony. So please know that Cassie has been spent countless hours with these prosecutors, being prepped for her testimony, teaching her how to be dramatic, how to cry, when to cry. So they've rehearsed this testimony. So don't think that she's up there and she's telling her story and she's being emotional and all of this. This is all part of the plot. This is how the man act works. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And then what else came out today? I got to make better notes. There was something else that came out today that I want to share with you guys. I'll think of it at some point. But anyway, so Cassie, okay, the prosecution wrapped up with Cassie today. And then in the morning, the defense will pick up and then they will present their case. And so I didn't do a video for yesterday. So this video is going to be for May 13th and May 14th, which is today. And then hopefully we'll be on track. And as I told you guys, I got 2 grandbabies in the house right now. So if I have to stop and that type of stuff, or you hear crying in the background, that's what that is. But I hope I can get through this really, really quickly. And so on yesterday, court resumed at 9:30 a.m. And they were trying to do, I believe it was like 9:30 to 5:30. But then like today they cut short because the prosecution wrapped up and they was like, okay, well, instead of the defense starting, then, they'll start in the morning. And so they should be trying to go like 9:30 to 5, something like that. So as I talked to you, I believe in my last video, the Daniel Phillip guy, he was a mail review manager and the prosecution's second witness. He was on the stand the first part of the day under cross-examination. He testified that he was paid by Cassie to have sex with her while Diddy watched. Ventura, who is Cassie, is Combs' ex-girlfriend and one of the key witnesses in the government's case, and she is going to take the stand after the Daniel Phillip guy finishes. And then on Monday, I told you guys that the jury saw footage from the infamous 2016 surveillance video where we see Diddy assaulting Cassie in the hallway at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, California. And then there was Israel Flores, who was a former hotel security guard, and he's now a police officer, I believe, with the Los Angeles Police Department. He testified that he saw Cassie leave the hotel with the black eye, or, it was bruising at the moment, and that Diddy offered him a bunch of money if he, what he thought was a bribe. They were telling him to call it a bribe, not a payoff or whatever. And he said that Diddy offered him this money, but he claims that he turned the money down. But he did let us know that he did make 2 copies of the video, because one he want to take home to his wife and show his wife how Diddy was cutting up in that hotel. And let's see, Diddy's mom, I told you guys before, she's been at court every day, as well as all of his children, several of his relatives. So Diddy has a big support system in court with him. And so the trial started with Diddy's attorney, Xavier Donaldson. He was resuming his cross-examination of Daniel Phillip. And remember, Daniel Phillip, okay, so I think the Daniel Phillip was the male prostitute. The Lopez guy, he was the security guard, I believe. I may have gotten that. Is that what I said a few minutes ago? Right, the Israel Flores guy is the one that made the 2 videos and took it home to his girlfriend. Okay. Let's see what I have here. Going through these notes. Oh, the judge said that he was inclined to grant the media's request for access to explicit materials. And so the media, they're trying to get the ability to see these videos, these pictures, that the defense, not the defense, but the prosecution is going to be presented throughout the trial. And so they've been filing motion after motion after motion to be able to see this, like if they're showing a video, it's coming up on the screen. The jurors have like laptops or whatever, laptop screens or monitors where they can individually watch some of this evidence, and the people in the courtroom can't see this stuff. And I believe the judge had offered to have like a viewing room where the media would sit in this viewing room and they would be able to look at this footage that they're showing, but they wouldn't be in the courtroom. But then, some of the reporters are like, no, we want to be in the courtroom so that we can write our articles. So it was a lot of back and forth, motions being filed to address that issue. So before the witnesses resumed their testimony, the judge, whose name I cannot pronounce, Subramian, is Subramanian, Subramanian. I'm not sure, but we're going to call him Judge Aaron, okay? So he discussed the issue of how to handle the release of explicit material in the trial. Attorneys for both the prosecution and defense wanted these materials viewed only by members of the jury, but the judge said that he's inclined to grant the request by more than a dozen media outlets for access of the footage and images, and that are expected to be submitted as evidence. And this is a First Amendment concern that he said, but the judge said he will wait to issue a final decision on the matter. Let's see. And so you guys know that because of federal rules that, this isn't airing on TV. I know a lot of people are like, well, why can't it be on TV? Why can't they show this on court TV, CNN? It's because it is federal, and federal courts do not allow recording, filming, or any of that. And I found out that they don't even do the Freedom of Information Act, where the reporters, like with the news outlets, can get free copies of transcripts. I'm being told they don't even do that in federal court, which I think is crazy. And so, Daniel Phillip, who testified from behind a monitor on Tuesday, he was like hiding his face, y'all. He didn't want anybody to see him. Combs' defense lawyer, Xavier Donaldson, is still cross-examining Daniel Phillip, as I mentioned earlier. And we know that they're trying to prove that Diddy forced Cassie into sexual encounters with this Phillip guy. And Phillip is his last name, Daniel Phillip. And then in Donaldson's cross-examination of him, he was trying to establish that Cassie was not forced by Diddy and was a willing participant in these escapades. And then the Daniel Phillip guy testified that Cassie was the one who paid him and agreed that she was not drunk or high when, the acts went down, that she knew what she was doing. She was a willing participant. And then is it fair to say that she was in complete control of everything she did? The attorney for Diddy asked, and he said, I cannot say that, I'm not sure, but, basically this is what it looked like to me. And so you guys know, once Cassie took the stand, everybody was all eyes on her, because everybody wants to hear what Cassie has to say. And so she got on the stand, and she seemed pretty emotional at times based on the information that was coming out. Before I go there, when the Xavier Donaldson guy cross-examined the Daniel Phillip guy, he was like drilling him on whether or not he had developed a romantic interest into Cassie. And if he was trying to be a defender of Cassie because he, wanted to be in a relationship with her and tried to protect her from Diddy. And he denied this, during his testimony, saying that that wasn't the case. He said that he was attracted to her and that if she ever gave him a chance to date, that he absolutely would have, but he, wasn't. So during the cross-examination of the Daniel Phillip guy, the defense attorney, Xavier Donaldson, he was trying to, get the jury to understand that this Daniel Phillip guy had developed feelings for Cassie and that he wanted to be in a relationship with her and he wanted to take her away from Diddy, so she wouldn't be doing all this, which I thought was crazy because he was a male prostitute. Okay, he was a male prostitute. She was acting like a female prostitute, but he wanted to be her savior when it seemed like somebody needed to save him. But he did admit, first he denied that he didn't have a romantic interest in her, but then he came back and said that he was attracted to her and that if she ever gave him a chance to date, he absolutely would go out with her, but he wasn't trying to steal her from Diddy. So before the trial resumed on Tuesday morning, Combs' defense team requested that the prosecution witness, who is going to be Cassie Ventura. So as you guys know, Cassie is 8 months pregnant. And the defense, I believe it was, they didn't want the jury to know that she is preggers. That's what I got out of it. And so they wanted her, I think, to already be seated in the witness stand before the jurors came out, I guess, so they wouldn't see. But I'm thinking she's pregnant. It's kind of obvious to see that somebody's pregnant, regardless if they're in the witness stand or not. And his attorney, the Mark Agnafilo guy, who's the lead attorney, he said that I think there is a prejudicial quality if they know that she's pregnant. Pregnancy is beautiful and wonderful. It also is a source of potential sympathy. So he's thinking that if the jurors know that Cassie is pregnant, then they would lean more to believing her and saying that she's a credible witness. And so during a brief break in the trial on Tuesday, Diddy's attorneys asked the judge if Ventura's husband, Alex Fine, could be barred from the courtroom during her testimony. Fine will be allowed to sit in the courtroom for part of her testimony. So I don't know if he was giving signals or something, but they wanted him out of there, not helping her with her testimony. So the prosecution called Cassie to the witness stand. You guys know her name is Cassandra Ventura, and she was an R&B singer known as Cassie, Combs' ex-girlfriend, and one of the key figures in the government's case. Cassie's explosive 2023 lawsuit accusing Diddy of the R-word, abuse, and trafficking was quickly settled, but it was the first of dozens of civil lawsuits against him, setting the stage for his criminal prosecution. And that's usually part of the blueprint in these cases, and you're going to start seeing more and more of this happen as they get convictions in these cases and start going after other high-profile individuals. So Cassie's explosive 2023 lawsuit accusing Combs, I just read that, I'm sorry. During her opening statement Monday, prosecutor Emily Johnson described in detail the physical abuse the R&B singer endured, including the 2016 incident in which Diddy was captured on security video at the Intercontinental Hotel, violently assaulting her in a hallway. And the jury also saw footage of that incident and heard testimony from a security guard who encountered the couple. And then you guys know that Cassie is expecting, or maybe you didn't know, she's expecting her third child, and she is due next month if the stress of this case doesn't make her go into early labor. So under direct questioning from the prosecutor, Cassie testified that her relationship with Diddy, which lasted a little over 10 years, often became violent. Their arguments, she said, would usually result in some sort of physical abuse, with Diddy kicking and dragging her and smashing her head into the ground. She was asked how frequently these arguments would result in violence, and she replied, too frequently. And guys, today they showed a video. There was a video. I can't remember who posted that video, but I'm assuming that it was posted in court, and that's how people got hold of it. But anyway, in this video, she is in the hallway, and I'm thinking it's that same incident at the Intercontinental, but she is standing in the hallway. So it's like so in the video, we see that short clip where he comes and she's trying to get on the elevator or something, or she's trying to put her shoes on because she ran out of the room, and he, drags her back into the room, get the bags and drag her back into the room. And for those of you who don't know, he's saying that she has taken his cell phone, I believe it was, and he was trying to get the phone back, or somebody testified that it was the phone he was trying to get back. Not that she was running away from him. She was trying to steal this phone. And so anyway, evidently the incident lasted much longer than that clip that we saw that was circulating on the news. And so there was a part where she came out of the room and she goes and she's like trying to use, I don't know if it was like a hotel phone, like the call for security or something. But she hangs up the phone. And then she stands in the hallway like she's waiting on him to come around the corner, right? To come after her. Instead of her just taking off running, trying to get to the stairwell or try to find another elevator, run around the corner or something, in the hotel. But she stands there and then she pulls out lip gloss and she starts putting the lip gloss on. And then he finally comes back out still with the towel wrapped around him. And I'm just sitting there like, well, what the hell is really going on here? Like, are they playing a game? Are they playing cat and mouse? Because if somebody had just viciously beat me in that hallway like he beat her, and and drug me back to the room, and then I had the opportunity to get out of the room again and get away from him, nothing is going to stop me until I get out that hotel. But she, like I said, she tried to talk on the hotel phone that was on the wall. She hung the phone up, and then she just stood there like leaning against the wall, looking in the direction that he would come around the corner, and she was putting on lip gloss. It's just like, what in the heck am I watching? So it was really weird to me. But anyway, Cassie testified that the freak-offs, as they call them, or drug-fueled sexual performances that Diddy asked her to engage in with him. Ventura said that at first, Combs was, and Ventura is Cassie's last name. I'm sorry, my grandson just came running in here, so y'all get prepared for that because I believe it's going to be happening a lot. So anyway, as I was saying, she was leaning up against the wall, putting on some lipstick or lip gloss, waiting on Diddy to come around the corner. And you would think as long as the shenanigans was going on, he would have put some clothes on, but he still had that towel wrapped around him. So anyway, let's see, where was I at? So Cassie was 22 years old when Diddy first asked her to participate in these little freaky sessions that they were involved in. And she described her nervousness and confusion about taking part, but also didn't think she could say no, given his propensity for violence. And then she said, it got to a point where I just didn't feel like I had much of a choice, didn't really know what no could be and what no could turn into, she testified. And she went on to say that that she was controlled by Diddy. Sean controlled a lot of my life, whether it was my career, the way I dressed, everything. I just didn't have much say in it at the time. And that's confusing to me also because, girl, you could come and go as you please. So one day you should have went and just never came back. I don't know what's so hard about that. But she said she was afraid and she felt intimidated as if she could not just leave and not come back. And as somebody who's never been abused, I honestly, I hate to sound, empathetic or unempathetic, but I just don't grasp the whole concept of somebody beating on your behind, because I'm gonna tell you, I am the type of person, if you just show me a hint that you might be abusive, I'm leaving. And I don't know if I told y'all this story about, I was on my way to Atlanta with this guy that I was dating, and we got into an argument in the car, and I felt like I was like suffocating in that car. It was like the more we drove, the more the car seemed to be shrinking around me, and I was just like, we would stop to get gas, and I was like, okay, should I just get out the car, call somebody, call a friend, and be like, hey, I'm in Gainesville, I'm in Tallahassee, wherever we were stopping at, can you please come get me? Then I was like, okay, so when we get to Atlanta, should I just go to the airport and fly home? But I just did not feel safe in that car. And that was just my thought process. And so we ended up going to Atlanta. He eventually apologized. We tried to salvage the weekend, but it was gone for me. But when we got back home, okay, I have never gotten in a car with that individual ever again, because it was just something about the way that made me feel. In that moment, I was just like, I could never trust this person. And this is how I know I would never be in a domestic violence relationship, because you only get one time to show me who you are. And I only need one time. And I just wish that more women would learn that you don't have to put up with this stuff, because the stuff that Cassie was talking about is just lunacy. So anyway, Cassie testified that she met Diddy in 2005 when she was 19 and he was 36. Red flag, he was too old. She said that she knew him as a larger-than-life entrepreneur and musician. I didn't know too much about him personally, she said. She ended up signing a 10-album deal with his label, Bad Boy Records, in 2006, but she only released one album with him. So, girl, when he didn't let you work on album number 2, that should have been your sign to get up out of there. But they want to be in the limelight, and I guess it was better being Diddy's girlfriend than it was following her musical career. And we see it happen all the time with different artists. When these guys start talking about they're going to produce you and you want to be with them, then suddenly the music gets put on the back burner. So Cassie also said that it was a professional relationship until her 21st birthday in August of 2007. And she said it was at this birthday party. Oh no, they were celebrating her birthday, and he kissed her in a bathroom in his hotel suite in Las Vegas. And she said that she cried and ran off. Well, maybe you should have kept running. So I was just really confused at the time, and I was also young. Then on a trip to Miami, where she and Diddy were partying with other friends, he gave her a blue dolphin, which is an ecstasy pill, and they had sex for the first time. So, girl, why were you traveling with him? You should have been working on your music. And so I guess that was the beginning of the end for her. And so I'm scrolling up the page, child. So much stuff written here, going over these notes. So then she testified, what she described was Diddy's abusive side. She testified about the complexity of the relationship between her and Diddy. She said that at first she wanted to be around him because he was just this exciting, entertaining, fun guy that also happened to have my career in his hands. And he also happened to be a very wealthy girl. But Cassie said she started to experience a different side of him, which was his abusive side. She described Diddy's moods to be extreme. If she didn't answer his phone calls, he would call her repeatedly or have his staff track her down. And she said that if she made the wrong face, and the next thing, she said that once she made a wrong face, and the next thing she knew, he was hitting her in her face. And that was also a sign to leave. And so, as a musician, Cassie said that she had the record deal with Combs Company. I already told you guys about that Bad Boy Records, and she also testified that she recorded hundreds of songs. Okay, while some of them were released, others didn't see the day of light. Out of the 10-album deal with Bad Boy Records, only one, and that was her debut album in 2006, and a decision was made by Diddy. She said that's, I guess would be the only album that would be released. And when asked how this affected her financially, she said her career was stifled. Her career might have been stifled, but her finances weren't, because I think she lived a life much better than most people. So Cassie went on to talk about how much control Diddy had over her life. She testified that he paid the rent for her apartments in New York and later in Los Angeles, and that he had his own set of keys that he used whenever he wanted, and he would make a lot of unannounced visits, and she was never sure what kind of mood he would be in once he arrived. She said that it was a stomach in knots moment. I tell y'all, I be sitting here, nobody calls or anything, and then the minute I start recording these videos, everybody want to text and call. And that was my daughter texting me some juicy gossip. So when I get through with this, I'm going to have to reach after her to get the scoop. Okay, so let me see, where was I at? I can't remember what I was just saying. I got into that text message, so I may be saying the same thing over again. Okay, so the freak-offs, or the drug-fueled sexual encounters that Diddy allegedly asked Cassie to participate in could range from 36 hours up to 4 days, forcing her to spend a big chunk of her life recovering from the drug use, dehydration, and sleep deprivation. She testified too, and the freak-offs became a job where there was no space to do anything else but to recover, just try to feel normal again. Child, let me tell y'all something. Teach your daughters to be strong, to be independent, and not to put up with people BS. Because, girl, if I had my own place, Diddy would have went home and came back for another visit, and that place would have been empty. Okay, sorry about that. Another interruption. Okay. Hopefully I can get through this, because I do not want to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning like I was last night. But it looked like it may be another late night. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so then they went on to talk about her record deal with Bad Boys, and she with Bad Boy Records. I'm sorry. She testified that her manager, James Cruz, who was an employee of Bad Boy, was managing her with one hand tied behind his back. Cassie said that this meant that all decisions about her singing career also had to go through Diddy. So she was just caught between a rock and a hard place, as they say. And Diddy and Cassie in this courtroom, almost 9 months pregnant, almost ready to give birth. And I wonder how that's making Diddy feel sitting up there, because I'm thinking he really liked the girl. And now she's sitting in there, pregnant with a third child, and then the husband is sitting out in the stand, and then she's, telling all their business, okay? So Cassie, during direct testimony, said that Diddy was very involved in how she looked, making specific daily demands about her appearance. I had to look a certain way during the freak-offs, and notice she keeps saying the freak-offs, the freak-offs, the freak-offs. So that's a term that the prosecution has come up with, that they want her to drill into the jurors' minds. So her fingernails had to be white, she said. He talked with her about breast implants, and he once complained that her hair looked too Mexican. Now, come on, Diddy, that's racist. So you're a sexist and a racist. So some days he would want me to really, really look sexy, and other days like a tomboy. Self-worth was My self-worth took a hit during the entirety of the relationship. And, I can say that she should have left. I think you should leave, that you should take a chance that God's going to protect you and nothing's going to happen to you. Because I think if you leave in the beginning, it's less likely that they're going to try and take you out. It's when you stay for years and years and years and years that these nutcases come after you. So, my advice would be, the first sign of trouble, get up out of there. Take your chances then and get up out. Because what is living in fear for 10, 15 years, then trying to escape an unhealthy relationship? Just leave at the first sign of trouble. So during their relationship, Diddy would take away some of Cassie's personal belongings, like her electronics, jewelry, or cars, as punishment. The physical things didn't matter. I just wanted his approval. She testified to that Combs' staff or Diddy's staff would be the ones dispatched to take away her things. Eventually, she would get them back. It depended on how long I was being punished for. This is so crazy. So crazy. So Cassie also testified that she and Diddy were in the middle of having a freak off at one of his homes in Los Angeles when one of his bodyguards interrupted them to inform them that rival rap mogul Suge Knight was at a nearby diner. Diddy and the bodyguards grabbed guns from a safe and loaded into an SUV. They quickly packed up and drove down there. Cassie testified, I was crying, I was screaming like, please don't do anything stupid. Girl, that was your opportunity to escape. I was really nervous for them. I didn't know what they were going to do. And then it was unclear whether Diddy confronted Suge at the diner. He probably did not. Suge, the co-founder of Death Row Records, was sentenced to 28 years in prison. So you guys know he is in prison. And Suge recently said that Diddy don't care if he is found guilty because Donald Trump, is going to pardon him if he is found guilty. So, maybe Suge knows something that we don't know. And so, So Cassie also said that she was shocked when Diddy presented her with the idea of voyeurism, later to be known as the freak-offs, within the first 6 months of a year of their dating relationship. Girl, that was enough time to leave. Diddy wanted to see her engage in intercourse with another man. I didn't know how to react. I didn't want to upset him if I said that it scared me or if I said anything outside of okay, let's try it. Girl, that was time for you to say, look, Ninja, you ain't doing nothing for my music career. You dragging me down. I'm going to get up out of here, and just took your chance on what was going to happen, okay? But I must say that in all them pictures we see of Diddy and Cassie out at, awards and stuff, she seemed pretty happy to me. But she said she wasn't happy. She was living in fear. So Cassie went on to testify that the freak-offs would leave her feeling horrible about herself. I felt disgusting. I felt humiliated. I didn't have the words to show how horrible I felt. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. She also said that she tried to gently tell Diddy that she didn't want to participate in these sex sessions, but he dismissed her like, girl, go sit down somewhere. I didn't want to upset him or make him angry with me for even sharing it, she said, but I would just tread it lightly when I brought it up. Sometimes I would email him about it. I didn't want anything bad to happen. And asked what, if anything, she enjoyed about the freak-offs. Cassie broke down in tears. The time spent with him, she said. Child, she said she enjoyed being there with Diddy. So she was confused because you hated the freak-offs, but it made you feel good because he was there with you during the freak-offs. Okay, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So during direct questioning, Cassie testified about the supplies and assistance and security guards that the security guards would stock in hotel rooms for the freak offs, including condoms, baby oil, and lubricant. Um, what else did she say? During the freak offs, Diddy requested that the baby oil be heated and she would reapply it frequently, every 5 minutes or so, because he wanted her to appear glistening. He wanted her to have some sparkle about her. This is so crazy. It's like, just to think that there are young women that are actually out there, living lives like this. So I don't take that lightly. But at some point, you just got to be responsible for your own well-being. You got to love yourself enough. I cannot say that enough. You got to love yourself enough to walk away from the money, walk away from this ninja that you claim you love, and you think, because this is not love. This person does not love you if they want to share you with multiple people. Like, you're just a sex object at this point, and and he was able to control you, I guess, is what it all comes down to. But y'all just got to do better. And mothers and fathers, like, talk to your daughters, teach them that they are better than this kind of foolishness. So Cassie went on to recall during her testimony that she felt a mix of emotions, including disgust and confusion, after the first freak off at Diddy's Los Angeles home around 2008. But she also said she felt relief because Diddy was really happy with me, that I did something right. See, the fact that she needed that kind of validation lets me know that her upbringing is part of the problem. Because if her parents validated her and made her feel special, then she probably got caught up in this nonsense. So that's why she said she felt obligated to go along with the future freak offs. Now, child, they're going to say freak offs about 100 times. That's how you know it's a key word here. So I didn't know what was going to happen after that. If we were going to do it more frequently, I said yes to more. I didn't want to make him upset or angry. He was a scary person. He would be violent. And that's what she said, y'all. She was scared. Let's see. So after a short break in testimony, Cassie returned to the witness stand, and she testified about how she was directed by Diddy to hire male escorts for the freak-offs. So he made her go out and hire the people. And so we know the Daniel Phillip guy was one of the people that she hired. And I think he ended up, if I'm remembering correctly, he ended up coming because there was nobody else available. So at Diddy's direction, she said she used several websites, including Craigslist, Backpage, and Cowboys for Angels, to find the male participants who then had to be approved by Diddy. So I showed the photos to Sean to see if he was interested. If he wasn't interested, I would tell them no and ask for someone else. Sean had to approve the person. Cassie went on to testify that she would tell the escorts that it was her husband's fantasy to watch her having sex with another man, and that they were typically paid between $1,500 and $6,000 in cash after the deed was done. Okay, so let me ask y'all women out there. If your husband wanted you to do this kind of foolishness, would you do it? Would you oblige your man if it made him happy? Because that's what Cassie said she did. So Cassie also testified that the freak-offs involved acts that she didn't want to participate in. For instance, she said that she was forced to engage. She was forced to engage in activity with these ninjas while she was on her period. Now that's just nasty. She also testified that Diddy instructed the guys to urinate on her because it was a turn on for him, and that Diddy would also urinate on her. Yes, Cassie, it was disgusting. It was too much. It was overwhelming. I agree with all that. She was asked why she didn't object at the time, and she said, I was squeamish immediately, but high in the moment. That's about it. You don't have a lot of control at that moment. So she was turned on by it. She didn't like it, but she was also turned on by it. And Cassie wanted to take a lot of breaks during her testimony. I don't know if it was, the baby sitting on the bladder or what was going on, but she did ask for a lot of breaks. And so Cassie said that she used drugs during every freak off in order to separate herself from the reality of what was happening. For me, it was disassociative and numbing. I couldn't imagine myself doing any of that without having some sort of buffer or way to not feel it for what it really was, which was emotionless sex with a stranger that I didn't really want to have sex with. So she also listed the types of things that they were using or that Diddy provided for her, which included the ecstasy, coke, Mary Jane, and some other stuff, mushrooms and all that other foolishness, child, they had going on. They had a lot going on. And let's see. Oh, she also said that at first they were recorded on a video camera, then later on devices belonging to both her and Diddy. She said that Diddy would discuss recording the encounters with her. Sean brought out a camera and set it up. She said that she would later delete the videos on her devices and frequently asked Diddy to delete the videos he had because she knew his staff also had access to the devices. So do y'all think Diddy was sitting around with his friends drinking and watching these videos with them, or did he keep them as his private collection? Because first of all, even if I was to stoop that low to even participate in this nonsense, which I would never, we definitely ain't recording it. We ain't recording it to watch together, to critique, or nothing else. There would have been zero evidence of any of this nonsense taking place. So let's see. So the March 2016 surveillance footage, that the world saw of them fighting in the Intercontinental Hotel was shown to the jury during the trial. I know they was like, oh my God. And then Cassie testified that in the video that she was trying to leave a freak off because it got violent. Sean followed me into the hallway by the elevators. He grabbed me up, threw me on the ground, kicked me, tried to drag me back to the room, took my stuff. She said, and she was asked how many other times had he beaten her like that, and she said too many to count. I don't know. And I'm still trying to remember, how did it come out about the phone, that she had stole the phone? But I had said from the beginning to you guys, when that video first came out, that the way he came around that corner after her, she had taken something that belonged to him. Now that was before the trial. That was months ago, right? And that was my thought watching that video, was that she had taken something out of that room and he wanted it back, and that's why he went and got her. Now I don't condone him beating her or anything and took her back in the room, but that was my first impression, was that she had taken something that she shouldn't have taken out of that room. Yep, so that was pretty much the end of her testimony on Tuesday. And as you can imagine, she was crying and, weeping and carrying on, getting sympathy from the jurors and definitely sympathy from the women on social media, who, I think the part that bothers me about this whole circus that has been created around this topic is that when I look at people like Cassie, I see somebody who, first of all, didn't even have to let it go this far, because it never should have started. But she was free to come and go as she chose. She says that she felt threatened by him, that she was afraid, but she still was free to come and go as she pleased, and she could have left. She had enough support. She was in the limelight enough that she could have safely left. And look, when she did leave, is now she's married, got, get ready to have a third baby. So she just delayed her freedom because she couldn't get out of her head. But I hate when people, like, they're on social media just going in about this, because there are a lot of people who are suffering from trauma and abuse, who haven't dealt with their trauma, abuse, or the person that caused their trauma and abuse, and they're living vicariously through these high profile cases. And so they're sitting there, like rooting Cassie on, and cussing people out who don't agree with them, and people are bickering and going back and forth, but they will not deal with their own real assault. Whether it was somebody that was known to them, if it was a stranger, they won't deal with their own trauma, but they want to live vicariously through these people who are benefiting. Cassie drummed up all this support and walked away with $20 million. And you're still at home, haven't named you the person that assaulted you, that harmed you, that messed up your life, and you never will. But then you want to put a battery, in the back of everybody else and try to get them, to get on this bandwagon with you. And I just wish that more women, more everyday average women, would deal with their own trauma, will put a face and a name with the person that caused their trauma and their assault and their abuse, and deal with that, instead of being on social media lashing out at complete strangers who don't agree with you or who don't see the scenario the same way that you do. So that was the end of a Tuesday, and now we're going to move into today's testimony. So then we pick up on today's testimony, and as with the prior days, Diddy's family has been there supporting him. And it looks like it's been raining a lot in New York. I don't know if a cold front is coming through or whatever, but seems like there was a lot of rain today on some of the video and stuff that I saw floating around on Twitter. So they picked up today, back with the Cassie's testimony. And they're talking about the video footage of the hotel incident. And the prosecutors also showed pictures of Cassie and how she looked after the assault. She had, the black eyes, swollen lips. She was going around wearing sunglasses. And she said that she wore the glasses, of course, to cover up the black eye. She also said that she left the hotel in an Uber and went to her apartment. And so the jury was also shown a bunch of text messages that Diddy sent to her after she left the hotel, begging her to call him and I guess come up with an alibi as to why she was walking around with a black eye. And so she said, "I have a black eye and a fat lip. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done." She replied in one of the text messages, "And please stay far away from me." And let's see. And so Cassie also testified that after the incident at the hotel, a friend who she didn't name called the police to meet with her at her apartment. And she said that she spoke to the police but did not come out and say that it was Diddy who had assaulted her. And then the prosecutor, once again, still the Emily Johnson lady, she asked Cassie if she did not name Diddy to protect him, and she said, of course, that's why I didn't name him. And so Cassie said that after the police left, that Diddy came to her apartment and that there was a lot of chaos outside of the door, that he was banging, kicking, and yelling. And she said that it was pretty normal for him after they had an argument. Like I said, just ain't no way. I don't know. I just ain't had that kind of love where I'm going to put up with that kind of nonsense. And so Cassie also testified that after the incident at the hotel, that she went to one of the homes of Diddy's security guards, a guy named D-Rock, and she said that she wanted to feel safe. And later she said that she went to Diddy's house to do a fitting for an upcoming movie release called The Perfect Match, which was premiering at the ArcLight Hollywood on March 7th, 2016, which was actually only 2 days after the assault. And so they showed the jury photos of her in the gown that she planned to wear to the event. She was also wearing sunglasses, which Ventura said, or Cassie said, that were to cover up her black eye. So the jury was also shown a photo of her and Diddy at the premiere's after party, and Cassie pointed out what she said was a bruise on her right leg. I had bruises on my body that weren't completely covered by the makeup. I had quite a bit of makeup on my face, she told the court. Then they showed images of them attending the premiere for the Perfect Match movie. So returning to testimony about the freak-offs, because we got to keep saying freak off, freak off, freak off. Cassie said that she was directed by Diddy to hire male escorts who were then approved by and paid for by him, which she had already talked about. And she claimed that it was very dissociative. But at one point, he requested they not use the drugs. So she was able to get through it using the drugs, and then he said he didn't want her using the drugs anymore. So then she said that the freak-offs, the videos from the freak-offs were then turned into blackmail material against her. She said that Diddy had brought up explicit videos of her several times when he was angry at her and would threaten to release them to the public. I feared for my career. I feared for my family. It's horrible. It's disgusting. No one should do that to anyone, she said. Well, girl, if he had released them to the public, that would have been your out, because that is illegal. So Cassie then told the court that in 2013 that she texted Diddy and asked him to delete the videos off his phone, and he said that he had. And she said that there were times throughout the years when she saw that the videos still existed. So when they took all that stuff from Diddy's two houses, did they not find the videos, or had he gotten rid of the videos at that point? So Cassie also testified that it would take her days to recover from the marathon freak-offs. We need to start counting how many times she said freak off in her testimony, because once again, that's a key word that they want to drill into the jury, that he was forcing her to participate in this activity. So she told the court that in addition to, what is this? Oh, in addition to IVs, she often had to take opioids to calm down from the other stuff that she took during the day-long performances, days long, so they was lasting multiple days. She said they made me feel numb, which is why I relied on them so heavily. I didn't want to feel what was actually going on in my mind, in my life, in real time. It was just an escape for me. And she said that they gave her frequent and painful urinary tract infections, as well as gastrointestinal issues and mouth sores. Oh my God. So I felt so tired, achy, dehydrated, not really eating too much. Emotionally, I felt empty, gross, like I did a job. So she's kind of confusing, because in one moment she'd be saying that she did enjoy it. Now she's saying she didn't. Or maybe she enjoyed it in the beginning, but then he wanted it so often that it took the enjoyment out of it for her. I don't see how she ever enjoyed it, because that just seems nasty to me. And especially if you're getting diseases from it, that's just disgusting. So the court showed a text exchange between Cassie and Diddy from March 2014, after a DJ at a party in Atlantic City, New Jersey, told Cassie he had heard about a video that she had out that was circulating about her. And immediately her thoughts went to a freak-off video, and she was like, oh my God. So the text showed the text showed Diddy telling Cassie to find out more about the video and how the DJ saw it. You got to tell him this is your life, Diddy texted her. This is serious. So the next day, Cassie met with the DJ and the man who had shown the video at a restaurant in New York, and she brought security and her manager, James Cruz, with her to the dinner. Child, how did the video get out? So Cassie testified that in 2013, she was with friends in her apartment before going to a music festival, and she said that Diddy came into the room and started yelling at her for not packing. And then, Cassie said that when Diddy moved to hit her, her friends jumped on his bike to make him stop. So during the fight, Diddy threw Cassie down and she cut her eyebrow on the corner of the bed frame. And so Diddy's security escorted Cassie to a plastic surgeon's office to examine the cut, which she took a photo of and later texted to him with the caption, "So you can remember." And Diddy responded to the picture, texting, "You didn't know when to stop. You pushed it too far and continued to push. Sad." And Cassie said that she has a permanent scar on her eyebrow from the 2013 altercation. I'm trying to figure out, well, I guess the travel, the money, the fame, the notoriety is what she was getting out of it. So let's see. Cassie said that Diddy would also make her visit sex clubs where she would do with him, and on at least one occasion a male escort. The defense team for Diddy has argued that he kept a swinger lifestyle and that the conduct was wait a minute. The defense team for Diddy argued that Diddy kept up a swinger lifestyle and that the conduct was far from criminal. Okay, I was just going to say, because I thought they were saying it was okay. Okay, so Cassie made it clear in court that she was not a willing participant. And when Cassie told Diddy that the club visits made her uncomfortable and that she didn't want to go, he said, "Well, push and try to convince me." Lord have mercy. Okay. This is crazy. Let me see what else we got here. So what are y'all thinking about this? Like, could you see yourself in the situation? I just don't see how. I mean, I know nobody wakes up one day and say that I'm going to get myself caught up in this foolishness, but when you see yourself going down this slippery slope, do you not look for a break, a way to break? Do you not try to stick your foot in the sand to stop the momentum? Like, what do you think make her and women like her just continue to go downhill? Because you can't think that it's going to get better. And I hope young women that are watching this trial and watching what's unfolding know that they deserve better and that they don't have to put up with this type of treatment. And I hope they realize that the common denominator in all these instances that are coming out with these wealthy men and these young women is that the young women never get what they initially sought. So you got all these young girls who were seeking a singing career but never became famous singers, never saw their career manifest. And then it also should tell you that if you meet with a music mogul or somebody who has influence in the music industry or the any entertainment field, whatever your thing is that you want to do, if you're really good at what you do and they try to steer you down another path, you're probably not as good as you think you are. Because if you can make them money, I think that they would really push. They might push the other dumb stuff, but they're also going to push your music career. But if they just take your music career and throw it away, put it on the back burner, and want you to do all this other stupid stuff, that means that you're probably not as good as you think you are. And it may be time to go find somebody else who can develop your talent. But don't think that giving your body away and being submissive and playing these games and doing all this dumb stuff is going to get you the career that you want if you really, really believe in yourself and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so let's see. And we're still on, this is today's testimony that we're going over. Okay, so as they move forward in testimony, and hearing hours of Cassie detailing these freak offs, and then the jury was shown still images from some of the videos that I guess that they confiscated, and they were showing it to the jurors. And I know there was an issue during court where reporters, I think I mentioned this earlier, where the reporters wanted to be able to see these pictures, and so there was motions filed by the media giving them access to the pictures and the videos, but I'm not sure whatever became of that, because when they were showing it to the jurors, they're looking at these computer monitors. It's not like up on the big screen where everybody in the courtroom can see what's going on. And so Cassie also said that she initiated some of the physical fights in her relationship with Diddy. So, I mean, she obviously wasn't scared of him if she was willing to fight back. And he put up with it unless, it was a turn on for him. And she said that there were multiple employees who witnessed his abuse, including members of his security team, his management team, and his assistants. And she testified that at least one assistant had told her that they quit because of the way that Diddy treated them. So why didn't that assistant go to the police and say, hey, he's doing these horrible things to people? So let's see. Cassie went on to testify about the physical violence in the relationship with Diddy, stating that the first incident was around 2007 or 2008. The two first met in 2005. Remember, when she was 19 and he was 37. Cassie said that she saw Diddy flirting with other people at a dinner that they were at, and that when they got into the car, he knocked me around and was just really mean. And she said that Diddy hit her on the side of the head, causing her to fall to the floor of the car in front of security staff and drivers. So I wonder if they're going to have some of these staff members come in and testify. And once again, with these cases, because we saw it in the R. Kelly case, where they had these former employees coming in. So once again, remember, this is a RICO. And so basically, you can be charged as part of the RICO, or you can come in and give us this testimony, and you'll be immune from prosecution. And so that's how they're going to get some of these people to come in. And then think about this. We've gotten all this testimony, but we've only had like 3 people up on the witness stand so far. And then people are also speculating on whether or not they think that this trial is going to last the 8 weeks that they expected it to last. Now they're thinking that it's not going to take that long because they're going through this testimony pretty quickly. Okay, so Cassie and Diddy became violent, said that Diddy became violent with her after a party in a Los Angeles nightclub in 2009 and started calling her names. She said that she punched him. She was drunk and punched him in the face after hearing him call her these names. And she says that as hard as you can hit somebody when you're drunk like that. And he responded by throwing her to the floor of the car and stomping on her face. Okay. So when they arrived at the house, she said she tried to run away, but the security staff caught her and brought her inside. And she said that she did not recognize herself when she looked in the mirror. And then Cassie went on to say that Diddy told her that she needed to stay in a hotel with security to recover. And she said that she wanted to stay at his house instead of a hotel, but he told her no. And then she explained that even when she felt ready to leave the hotel after staying for about a week, she felt like she couldn't. I didn't have the resources. I needed to get out and move, to get out and not have anybody stop me, she said. I understood Diddy's capabilities, his access to guns, and the threats that he made before that. And then Cassie said she didn't feel comfortable potentially getting other people involved, telling them what happened. And she said that her mom read a gossip blog online about the nightclub incident and called to ask her what in the world was going on. And she said that she didn't tell her mom the truth because she was ashamed. But she also felt like at that point she didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't want to put my mother in danger of knowing anything of that magnitude. Yeah, you were thinking about your self-pride. You weren't thinking about your mama. Let's see. Oh, then Cassie talked about the late rapper Kid Cudi. And she said that they began dating. And then when Diddy found out about her new relationship during one of their freak-offs, Cassie said he lunged at her with a wine bottle opener. And she fled to another hotel and called Cudi, okay, on a burner phone to pick her up. Now, child, you running around with burner phones? That's when you know your life is totally out of control. Because why you gotta have a burner phone to talk to your other man? So she said that Diddy threatened to release 2 of the videos and have someone hurt her and Cudi while he was out of the country. Child. And then Cassie sent an email to her mom and one of Diddy's employees detailing the alleged threats. Child. So I wonder if they are going to have those people come in and testify. And let's see. So Cassie also testified that she visited her mother in Connecticut in December of 2011 after Diddy had allegedly beat her, and that her mom took photos of the bruises. But during the same visit, Cassie said she lied to her mother by saying it was the first time that Diddy had assaulted her. And she said that she had not told her mother about the freak-offs. And she said, I couldn't hurt her like that. You can't justify it to anyone, especially not your mom. I know, child. I couldn't tell my mama no foolishness like that either. Okay, so she ended up ending the relationship with Kid Cudi in early 2012. She said it was too much danger, too much uncertainty of what could happen if we couldn't see each other, if we continued to see each other. And she said that Diddy threatened to blow up the man's car and hoping that he and his friends would be present when it happened. And she mentioned the allegation in her 2023 lawsuit, claiming around the time that Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. Y'all, did it blow up the man's car? Now, come on. This is too crazy. So do y'all think Diddy was the one that blew up the car? Y'all let me know in the comments. Okay, so as Cassie continued to testify and describing the violence between her and Diddy, she said she personally witnessed him assaulting his employees and assistants, from punching one man in the head to dragging another woman known in the trial as Mia. So Mia is going to be testifying out of the bed during a trip. And so Cassie said her friends weren't safe either. She watched Diddy once attack a friend by holding her over a 17th floor balcony, an incident that was mentioned in her 2023 civil lawsuit, as well as a 2024 lawsuit filed by fashion designer Brianna Bana Bangolan. Cassie said that she watched Diddy hit one of her best friends with a wooden hanger in 2018, which ended their 17-year friendship. Well, I guess I would have ended friendship with you also, child, if your man out here abusing me. What else did Cassie talk about? She said she agreed to see Diddy for dinner in Malibu, California in August of 2018 for what she thought was a closure conversation. Now, child, listen to this. So at the end of the relationship, Cassie said that she had started seeing her now husband, Alex Fine, around that time. She said that Diddy was playful and somewhat romantic during their dinner, and he drove her home. Then she said he R'd her in the living room. Yes, she did. And she said that she just remembered crying and saying no, but it was very fast. And she said that she was consensually, so after he done R'd you, then you turn around and then have consensual relationships with him 6 months later. Saying that she has sporadic contact afterward, that they have sporadic contact after the incident in 2018. But then in March 2019, he sent her a message that referred to iPads full of skeletons, which she interpreted as referring to sex videos they had recorded. But yeah, she went on to say that they had a consensual sexual. So twice she's had sex with Diddy since she's been with her now husband. This first time was not consensual, and then the second time she said it was consensual. So after 2 days on the stand, Cassie finally broke down and cried, answering questions about why she decided to go to rehab and trauma therapy in 2023. She said, "I was spiraling out. I didn't want to be alive anymore at that point." She said she decided to start writing a book about her relationship with Diddy after she went to rehab, and she said her mom helped her to write it. The prosecutor told the judge that they had no further questions for Cassie, and then Cassie concluded her direct testimony by estimating that she had been in hundreds of freak-offs during her relationship with Diddy and hasn't been involved in any since they broke up in 2018. She also said that she settled her lawsuit against Diddy for $20 million. And while the prosecution has pushed for cross-examination to begin, like they wanted it to start today, they was like, no, let's get the defense out here, let them start asking her question. The judge was like, no, she needs to go home, get some rest, and we will pick back up tomorrow. Okay, so what do y'all think about Cassie's testimony? I mean, from the video to her participating in all these quote-unquote freak-offs, like, do you think she's being truthful? Do you think she's adding stuff to make it more salacious? But more importantly, I'm going to keep asking this question until I see it. Okay, is this a RICO? Or is this just a matter of domestic violence? Or is this a matter of, just her being too submissive, too young, too silly, too stupid to be in a relationship with this very wealthy grown man who had her, controlling her and having her doing all this stupid stuff. And once he didn't produce her music, like maybe her contract said that until she produce these 10 albums, she couldn't go and work with somebody else. Was there no clause in the contract that said that if the 10 albums weren't produced in a set amount of time, she was free to go work with somebody else? Like, I want to know what the contract said and why she felt that she had to put her music aside to get into this crazy relationship with this man. You guys let me know what you think about this, and how do you feel, like, more importantly, how do you feel about this trial? Like, this has gone so far away from a RICO. Like, the prosecution has got to figure out how to reel this case back in and to get back on track, because right now they have derailed, and this has nothing to do with a RICO, which is what he is being charged with, because they were in a relationship together, and she was sort of like she was complicit in what she was doing. She was doing stuff in her name. She was calling the agencies, picking out the men that were going to come. She was willingly going to the parties, willingly doing all this stuff with him. It wasn't like he was dragging her around or threatening, to do something to her if she didn't do it. So it just, somehow she let her career and her life get derailed or caught up in this fame and being with this crazy man. And I just think at some point you just have to say, you know what, I'm going to walk out on faith and walk out this door and not put up with this anymore. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I may tomorrow morning do another video which sort of, you guys know I'm following the Matthew guy, I can't think of his, Matthew Russell or Russell Matthews, one of those, on Twitter, who is live tweeting the testimony. But what I found with the last video that I did where I was reading his live tweets is that he's missing a lot of context. You know, as I started reading over some of the news articles that were coming out, people were printing a whole lot more in their articles or giving more context to what they had in their articles that his tweets weren't doing. So I'm not going to include those tweets in this video. I'm going to go over the tweets and see if they're like, if it's even worth reading, like if I can, you know, now that I've read, you know, like 7-8 other articles from different people about the trial and about Cassie's testimony, if I can kind of give more context to his live tweets, then I may come back and do another video. But if not, I think I've given you enough information about what happened yesterday and today to give you a good idea of where they are going with this trial. And once again, tomorrow should be very interesting because Cassie will be back on the stand, and this time Diddy's attorneys will be questioning her. And it will be interesting to see which one of his attorneys. I'm thinking it's going to be, I think somebody said it was going to be Brian Steele, but if it was me, I would put one of those female attorneys. He has a couple of female attorneys on his team. I would put one of them up there to question Cassie. I don't think excuse me, I don't think they should put a man up. You guys let me know if you think it makes a difference whether a man questions her from the defense or a woman. I'm going with they should get a woman up there to question her and really dig deep and get all up in there. And just, I'm interested to see how this thing is about to turn out. Okay, so go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.